don't need to be a part of a majority black community in order to educate yourself and learn about racism. In fact, if you're a part of a minority black community, it's probably even more important that you do so. I don't know what planet you've been living on where you've never heard a black person talk about how all lives matter is a racist reactionary statement, but if you just type it into Google, there will be infinite resources for you. Did I ask for a black person's views on the matter? I didn't have to, darling. They've been telling everybody for a very, very long time. You just have to listen. I really don't understand why people think this is such a crazy concept. The phrase all lives matter did not exist until after Black Lives Matter. Can you figure out why? Don't even think about race. Don't even think about oppression. Just think about the words. You say, this matters. They say, no, not just that. Everything. Okay, well, I'm talking about this. Well, everything matters. Okay. You're discrediting the conversation where it's just language. It's just fucking language. It's supposed to be ironic. That's the one part that kills me more than anything. The whole point of Black Lives Matter is to remind you of something that is so painfully fucking obvious it shouldn't have to be said. You shouldn't have to remind people that black lives are important and that you shouldn't kill them. That's the irony of it. So when the term all lives matter sounds to you like, well, duh, of course all lives matter. How would someone not agree with that? Because that's not what you're actually saying. I don't know. I've explained this on the internet in like fucking 4 to 7 different accents, and no matter what I do, nobody seems to fucking get it if they're racist in the skull. You know the term white lives matter? You know that didn't exist until Black Lives Matter existed too, right? You want to know why? Because we didn't need to remind anyone that white lives matter. Because we're already treated like it. A lot. We're actually treated like white lives are more important. And that's why black people are trying to remind people. And I'm on their team. I'm trying to get through to the people like you because you should not, a black person should not have to explain this to you. That's my responsibility. I don't go up to black people and ask them to educate me on their problems. I do it myself. Because they already have to deal with the problem. Why should they have to deal with teaching it to me as well? But frankly, babe, I don't think you should be following me. And if a black person doesn't agree with me on racism, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It means that they're Candace Owens. Imagine right now, I go down to my property management and I say, hey, I want you to put signs up in all of the hallways that says, do not drink your urine. Well, just why? Is there an issue with people drinking urine in the hallway? No. Just thought I'd give everyone a friendly reminder of something they're already not doing. See how that doesn't make sense? Now, if there was people punching holes in the wall in the hallway, I would put a sign up that said, please don't punch holes in the fucking wall. You see how one of those signs is more important because one of them is addressing something that's actually happening? We need to talk to... Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's probably already out. I'm going to Google kindergartnens explaining racism to adults. Maybe that will help you. I've been trying for 3 years to try to dumb this down as much as I possibly can for the people who just in 3 years still haven't grasped it. Which I think that's just because they don't want to. But the best way I think I can dumb down the entire conversation around Black Lives Matter is that the statement Black Lives Matter is supposed to sound fucking stupid. It's supposed to sound redundant. It's supposed to sound like, why the fuck are you pointing out the obvious? Because they're not treated that way. Saying all lives matter is false because black people aren't treated that way. If all lives matter, then all lives would be killed equally, but they ain't. No. Saying white lives matter is completely fucking pointless because that already happens. We don't have to point out the obvious. That's like saying, hey, did anybody see today that the sky is blue? You didn't have to say that fucking out loud. You don't need to create a campaign raising awareness about the sky being blue now, do you? Everyone already fucking knows that. But apparently, we have to remind people of this crazy fact. We have to say to people, You do realize black people deserve to live, right? You do realize that black people don't deserve to be shot in the streets in cold blood. You realize that painfully obvious fact, right? That's how dire the situation is. We have to remind people not to murder specific people. And if while we're having that conversation about a specific issue, you want to glaze over it, distract from that conversation, and just generalize and say murder is bad. Yeah, good job. You just learned that? Did you have to point that out? Did no one ever... do we have to start a mass campaign about how murder is wrong? Were you not told that enough? Well, apparently the cops haven't been told enough that murdering black people is wrong. Or the banks haven't been told that not giving them equal loans is wrong. We have to point out shit that to us white people is very fucking painfully obvious because we live in this little world where our lives are treated like they mattered because we're white. And I don't give a fuck if you're poor. I don't give a fuck if you're gay. I don't give a fuck if you're a woman. You've never experienced any systemic disadvantage because of your race. It's, again, like pain... I'm done talking. It's 2 minutes. I don't know how else you can fucking comprehend this. No one ever said the words all lives matter or white lives matter until they were trying to change the conversation away from the serious one that is black people being murdered in the streets. I don't know. How many analogies can people make? When people go, oh, all lives matter. Yeah. No fucking shit. And my fucking hair is on my head. Everybody, put it on a shirt. Jessica has hair on. No fucking shit. No one needs to be reminded of that. They need to be reminded of things that they're not currently doing, which is treating black people's lives like they fucking matter. Why do you follow me?